This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Hi, this is David Patrick Wilson. I played Superman, Clark Kent, in the television production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane. Enjoying every minute of being right here on the Krypton Report.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane.
Hey, it's Tyler.
And it's Selah Patrick.
We are from Krypton Report, and we are here for our 10-year anniversary episode. We decided that we're going to come
To Metropolis!
for Superman celebration. So instead of doing the traditional 10-year kind of look-back episode, we decided that we would come here to Metropolis for Superman celebration.
It's so fun!
And what's crazy is Selah is 8 and Solomon is 10.
And you want to see something, guys? Look at this!
This next song is a song
I can't believe I'm 10 years old. It is 10 years of the Krypton Report.
Where are you, Solomon?
And we are at Illinois, Metropolis, Illinois. And, I am literally touching the biggest Superman statue in the world.
Let's go.
It's bigger than me and my dad. So look at this, guys. You come back here. Look how tall he is. He's massive. Now this is Metropolis Savior, and I'm standing on the statue of it. You gotta walk around.
Welcome to the special Krypton Report 10-year anniversary episode. That's right. We have kicked off phase 1 of our summer of Superman. I am Tyler, one of your hosts, the founder of this podcast, and with me is
Solomon Patrick.
Junia Patrick.
Selah Patrick.
That's right, the Superfamily. We are here, and this year, for 10 years, a lot of podcasts do special episodes, and I want to just say that this episode we did something different and special I've been wanting to do for years.
Tell them what we did, Tyler.
But first, I want to go, and for 10 years, I want to thank everybody who's ever been a guest. I want to thank James Cole for being my co-host. In those early years, it was a little rough. I constantly tell James how much I appreciate him. I want to thank my pal Brian Peters for coming along and joining us and doing specials. I want to thank Levi and Brad, who've become more continual guests on our specials. Over the years, I've had many, many, many other guests from locals, creators, and other podcasters. You know, Anthony Desiato, Zach Moore, Nate McKenzie. I've had the opportunity to do interviews with Sarah Douglas, Cress Williams, Jason J. Lewis, Mark Wade, Dan Jurgens. Also, I've had the opportunity to work alongside some just amazing friends who do other things, and I could sit here and list everyone, but I can't remember everybody, and I had a list going, and I just want to say how grateful I am, you know, to be able to continue to do this. It's something fun. I mean, it's crazy to think I started this podcast as a Supergirl TV rewatch podcast, and we've just kind of evolved from there into what we are now, and we continue to grow on both YouTube and here on the audio formats as well. And what's crazy to think about is I started this in 2015, and two of the people here today to talk weren't even here yet. But, you know, both of these lovely children of mine have contributed to the podcast as well, and I'm just thankful. Look back, we've done series on the podcast where it'd be Meet Blank, where I would try to interview other Superman or comic book fan podcasts, and that was a fun time that we did. So without further ado, happy 10 years to us.
Woohoo!
We're going to keep on going. And let's talk about something special. So, Superfamily, where did we go?
We went to Metropolis, Illinois.
What for, Selah?
For the Superman celebration.
Yeah, we did. So we finally made it to the 47th annual Superman celebration.
And it took us 6 hours to get there.
Yeah.
A little bit over.
A little bit, yeah.
So we kick-started this adventure early Friday morning. And we took off driving.
And we got there like 12. No, like 2, 1.
Yeah, it was weird because the time
Which
changed.
one? Who was it?
We crossed over Central City, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
And Selah was like,
The Flash.
but when we got there, okay, what was one of the first things we did, fam?
We checked out the festival.
Yeah.
After that, we checked out our Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. What, Solomon?
The Airbnb was pretty nice. I mean, it was like, I feel like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Our
felt
bathtub
like
was
Bruce
gold.
Wayne. I feel like a Julian now.
Yeah. We decided if we were going to do this and we were going to go, we might as well try to pull out all the stops. And we got an Airbnb. And thank you to Affirm, we could pay for it over time. So we could spend a little bit more money, get something nice. Because it really set us up within walking distance of everything. It was like 5-minute walk, maybe.
Maybe. And that was probably the most fun part, was that we could just walk right out the door and go and see things.
There was one thing I didn't like about the Airbnb. Is that you have to get stairs to go up to your Airbnb.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's minimal, though.
One of the most ironic parts was I asked some friends that go every year and some people that are where are the best restaurants to go, and one of them that they recommended was this Italian place, and I was telling my wife, and as I was telling Junia, we look out the window and it's across the street from us. So she was like, you mean that place? I was like, yes, that place. But the first thing we checked out when we got to Metropolis was the Metropolis public restrooms.
Yeah, those were excellent, by the way.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we bring those up because it was really cool because these were like a actual building.
It was like a modular home almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of really nice restroom facilities that are a staple. They weren't pop-ups,
No.
porta-johns, or anything like that. Like, this was a
Restroom
legit
facility.
restroom facility that's always there, that if you're in the city, you can go to it. And it kind of blows my mind because where we live is a small, quote-unquote, village.
Okay, it's more like a town.
Yeah. And we go to the small town, nearby all the time. And I would say that place is bigger than Metropolis, right?
What place?
Circleville.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Of course it is.
But it doesn't have stable restroom facilities like that.
Which is nuts, because Circleville is home of the Pumpkin Show. And the Pumpkin Show was like it's literally considered the biggest free show on earth.
Yes.
So it's huge.
It's a big deal.
Don't know why they don't have restroom facilities.
So there's one thing that we learned from the Metropolis is it really is a nice small town that seems for the most part to take care of itself. Now,
And just for you guys to know,
there's always stuff that's not what.
people dressed up, and almost everybody wore a Superman shirt.
Yeah.
I feel like if you didn't have one on, you should get jumped.
That's
No,
horrible.
I don't promote
Do not
that.
promote violence.
But the kids got their picture in front of the Super City Metropolis sign. The kids got some photos in front of the Superman statue. There was the 89 Batmobile was there.
I think if anybody did get jumped, just to go back to that, like at the Superman Festival celebration, that it would just be like a bunch of people in capes giving them hugs.
Or the guy who was like cosplaying dressed as Homelander, I would have allowed him to get jumped, with love.
With love.
How about me?
You were Spider-Man, dude.
I'm not Spider-Man.
But there's nothing wrong with Spider-Man. He's great. Superman and Spider-man would be pals.
They probably
I
would.
was Ghost Spider.
We saw the
Yeah, you were.
We saw the super van, and the kids got their picture outside in the wood cutouts, and Selah got her picture in the
Solomon
telephone
didn't.
booth outside.
Solomon didn't get
I
his
know,
picture.
Solomon. I realized some of the stuff you just didn't do, man. What the heck?
He didn't like
Shaking
it.
his head.
Dude, I was tired. And also,
No. You.
I was excited. I was too excited.
It was overstimulating at times because there was so much stuff. But honestly, I thought Superman Celebration would have been like larger in scope, but I really enjoyed what it brought to the table.
The peaciness.
I agree. It's one of those things. Like, it's large, but at the same time, it's not as big as you think.
Right. Well, you and I are used to the pumpkin show,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'll go back to that. Like the fact that festival is ginormous. We're used to State Fair, those kinds of things. The Ohio State Fair is huge usually. So I think in my brain I was thinking something a little bit larger like that, you know?
I wasn't
Maybe
thinking,
not quite as
I
large, but
wasn't
like
thinking pumpkin show size, but I was thinking a little bit bigger than what it was. But I like what it was, though.
that's
It
what
made
I'm
it more
trying to
personal.
say. That's what I'm trying to say is like I think in my brain I was thinking it was going to be like a larger in size, but it was totally what it needed to be. Like I thought it was a blast. Actually, I think it was more enjoyable than Pumpkin Show because Pumpkin Show gives me mad anxiety. So.
Yes. Oh, I 100% agree. So when we got there, we still had like an hour, 2 hours roughly, till we could check into our Airbnb. So we decided, what would we do?
We went to the museum.
We check out the Superman store. at the
Actually,
museum.
it was an hour and 30 minutes.
To be exact.
So going into the store, first of all, the store is amazing. And the store in itself is almost like a museum because they have so many. First, they have merchandise that you can only get there.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have merchandise that they sell that's dated backwards. Like there were still some Superman Returns action figures, Superman the Animated Series action figures, a lot of McFarlane's.
Some dolls. Superman dolls.
And then it goes back even further with some like vintage stuff too, wasn't it?
In the cabinets they had and statues.
They had kryptonite.
They have the rocks of kryptonite. They have a lot of really neat stuff that you can only find there. We have pictures and stuff and apparel.
I was about to say their apparel was really great too. Had we had the opportunity to, I would have loved to have gotten myself a Metropolis dress.
I went back
like,
to buy you one and they didn't have it your size.
Of course, naturally, because by that time it was Saturday, like midday Saturday, so I'm pretty sure that like a whole bunch of people had been through there, and then I saw like 20 people walking around with that Metropolis dress.
I ducked
So-
out to go buy it for you and it wasn't there.
It was just cute. It would have been really cool if you and I could have gotten the dress and the matching shirt. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because we are that couple.
Oh yeah, we are.
So.
So always next year. But you know, we looked around. Solomon got his picture with a awesome Perry White figure. Selah had her own camera. Solomon had his own camera to take pictures and videos and everything along to really make the experience. And you know, to really get going, like we decided, okay, we're gonna go through the museum. And you know, it's $8 to get into the museum, and Junia and I did the museum back in
2015.
2016.
2016, yeah.
and they've expanded the museum and everything more than when we went. They've done some renovations. My only thing is, Morgan, the owner, we talked to her. She said they're still working on. They want to remodel some stuff and open up the upstairs. And I think it'd be awesome if they could open the upstairs and maybe put like apparel and stuff upstairs
To clear off the.
to open up a little bit more of how tight it is in there.
Sure.
Even if it wasn't as busy as it is during Celebration, if we just went regular, it would be tight.
Yeah.
And that way you could actually look through the apparel more and see more of what they have.
It was really claustrophobic in the store section of the Super Museum.
I had to walk out.
Solomon did. Yeah, Solomon got overwhelmed a couple times, so we just kind of stepped out. But it was mainly just because there were so many people. There were so many people, and which is great for them.
Right.
You
I
know.
hope they made a ton of money.
I hope they did too, so that they can continue their expansion.
Now, when we went through the museum, guys, what were some of the things that really stuck out to you? that you really enjoyed seeing?
Oh, hold on. I have pictures.
I
Pictures. Let me see.
I enjoyed the Doomsday. I thought the Doomsday.
The giant Doomsday in the back.
Yeah,
that was
Oh
pretty
my
cool.
god, I forgot about that.
Seeing Kirk Allen, George Reeves suit was like pretty sweet.
It was sweet.
Seeing the old Superman suit, and then Clark Kent's old Superman suit,
Yeah.
and then hold on, and then having.
What is it? What you trying to think of the name?
Yeah.
Oh, Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ben Affleck's
His outfit from
Yeah.
Hollywoodland.
And then the new crypto merch sitting on Superman's statue.
Oh,
and then Superman in the train, actually it's a ride. And then there's a
the
stone.
gravestone of the death of Superman.
And then there's a giant enormous.
So when your mom and I came, that whole section where Doomsday was not open.
Nope.
There's even an arcade where Doomsday was.
So that's more of the stuff they've been able to pull out more and more, because there's still more stuff that they have been able to display.
They had this big collection of just random Superman toys and cups, and then they had like a Superman vending machine.
They had a whole BVS section and Supergirl.
And then, okay, so I know one of your favorite parts probably of the whole museum, Tyler, was where we went to go through like the center section after Superboy, because there was like Superboy, and then there was like Brandon Routh Superman, and you went past that, and then there was like 90s, 80s like style toys and memorabilia and outfits and stuff, and pretty sure your PJ set from when you were a kid was up there hanging up.
I'm pretty sure it was.
And
I'd have to get a confirmation from my mom, but her memory's slipping, so you know. But
and
Just look at the pictures.
there was a King Kong cup I found randomly in the Superman Museum. And
Okay.
there's this cool Batman keychain that was in the Superman Museum. It had Batman's symbol, and then it had Superman's symbol in the middle.
one thing, okay,
And then there's this awesome Superman painting.
Can
yeah,
That was
by
awesome.
Art, crap, his name, Batman.
And then
He's the one that I met. I interviewed. He signed the book for you guys that I
It's
have.
even worse that you don't
My
remember
mind
his
is
name
blanking
right now.
because I'm getting old, but he does all the really cool kiddie stories and art for like Welcome to Smallville and everything.
And there was an old Jimmy Olsen costume, and his camera in the museum. But Daddy, want to tell us the story?
Hold on, Salah's getting excited. I really like a lot of the old stuff, like the Kirk Allen stuff. I think is cool because you guys didn't know this, that the owner, Jim Hambrick, okay, one of his best friends and the best man at his wedding was Kirk Allen.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
And there's a quote that Morgan told me and Jim told me when I interviewed him years ago, that Kirk said to him, "Thank you for not letting me be forgotten."
It's beautiful.
Because Kirk Allen's Superman, because of the nature of the serials and everything, there was no like home distribution and stuff like that. Like he got overshadowed by George.
Right.
Because George was on TV and everything, and it just most people kind of forgot. And then
Kirk was first, wasn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then his scenes in Superman the movie were cut, unless you get the extended where he's on the train with Noel.
How dare they do that?
Because that's why I like the director's cut better, because you see him sitting there where he's playing Dr. Sam Lane and Noel Neal is Lois's mom, and it's the scene where Clark's running next to the train in Smallville,
Yeah.
and Lois is like, that boy, and Noel Neal's like, honey, that imagination of yours, Lois Lane, and she's like, no one ever believes me, like, and it's just so cute because you have, that's what kind of started the trend of previous actors of the character being parents of characters like Lois Lane. I think off my head really fast, every version of Lois Lane, her mom was the previous actress.
That's so cool.
So Erica Durance's mom as Lois was Terry Hatcher.
Okay, yeah.
Terry Hatcher's was actually Phyllis Coates.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder's was Noel Neal.
So this is frustrating to me that they would even take that out of the cut. That's horrible.
I know. And that's why I like the director's cut of Superman the movie. That's why I haven't bought the 4K yet. It's because it's the theatrical cut of Superman the movie. But it's Art Balthazar is who I was thinking of. But before we keep moving on, one thing that shocked me, okay, was there was no new merchandise as far as like toys from the new film to buy. Did you notice that? Like none of the street vendors or anything had the newer merchandise yet.
Interesting.
The only toys and everything we thought were the toys that were given or bought for the museum in the display section.
Right.
And there was, if you guys don't know, we're doing a Superman musical. There was a whole freaking section of Superman musical stuff. And I got a picture of something that was a Superman musical.
We had a nice guy who was there in the museum too who took a picture of the four of us.
Thanks to that random guy.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to random guy who took the shot so all four of us could be in with the Superman musical section. And it is small section, but it is cool that they have what they do have.
Yeah, they have something for your personal friend, David Wilson.
They have just a picture of David hanging up.
And then they have the original Broadway Superman, whose name is completely... Thank you. Bob Holliday is on there as well. So it's kind of cool to be able to see the different versions displayed. Even though it may be a small section, it's still present. It took a second. We were all hunting for it, too. I was like, brownie points to anybody who finds it.
Because for the most part, the museum moves through time.
Right.
Through the most part. And it kind of winds around. And go ahead, Say.
And jumping back, there was these bricks section in Metropolis next to something that was painted the first Superman ever cartoon. Mm-hmm. And
you're talking about outside of the museum.
Yeah.
There was a section of bricks that were on the ground, right?
And on the bricks, this is what it said: Tyler, Junia, Solo, Selah, Patrick, Krypton report. And on one of those rocks, it was at the beginning too.
Right. It was hilarious.
We were on it.
It was hilarious. I said to the kids, like, we're gonna find our brick, because the hand is called the brick, like foundation brick project after the last name of Hambrick, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you get a brick. They inscribe your name on it, and you're placed outside the museum. But the money you spend on helps to restore and keep the museum going. So naturally, we bought a brick a few years ago. And
yeah, you asked me. You were like, "Hey, I really want to do this thing," and I'm like, "Hey, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's support it."
The funniest thing is we're looking at it. We're like, "Oh, I was like, we gotta find our brick, kids." So I was like, "Our names out here?" I'm like, "Yes." And we're like, I was like, "Let's start," because the way we were. I wanted to start walking so we could look, and we started, and my foot, and I looked down, and my foot was right there in front of our brick. I was like, "Oh my God, there it is!" But it was neat finding the brick, and Selah and Solomon geeking out about it, and seeing the bricks that are out there, and hoping that it continues to grow as people donate and be part of that.
So donate to the Brick Project to keep up with the Super Museum if you're able to, please.
And we got to see Dean Cain.
We're going in order.
Selah's like really excited. She's putting pedal to the metal. Let's go.
The kids got their picture in front of the Super Big Boy. They met like Smallville Ghost Rider. He had the Smallville jacket on in black. And like I said, in the museum it was cool because I made sure that I pointed out to them, they saw Dean Cain's costume and the props from, Lois and Clark, because, the next day
Dean Cain was going to be there.
Cain. Mm-hmm. We did go, we changed our clothes and everything to refresh, and then we hit kind of back out to see more of it. Selah got her picture with the Peacemaker standee. And we saw some really cool stuff at the other shop.
the other shop called Hidden Gems. That was in downtown Metropolis. I think Morgan owns that as well.
Yeah.
It's such a cool shop. Has some really cool like Universal monsters.
So of course I was in,
Paraphernalia, yeah.
Well, what did we go do that night, kids?
We went
Come on.
We went to go bowling.
At the Super Bowl. That's right, Metropolis
The
Super Bowl.
And then there is an arcade attached to it too.
And
Solomon, tell them about the Super Bowling.
So the Super Bowling was it was nice. It was a nice space. When we walked in, there is posters of Superman movies. There's a Returns posters. There was a Man of Steel one.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we walked in, Dad talked to the cashier, and he got his shoes. And it was the first time going bowling, me and Selah. And the winner was, I think, did you win?
Dad won.
Dad won. I was in the lead for a little bit.
I was in last place.
You guys did well for your first time. You were very inconsistent. You'd be like, strike. Or I mean, not strike, sorry, like pins. Nothing. Pins. Like, but it was fun.
And I had one last pen left and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Then Saturday came. And Saturday's the big day. Like, that's the big day. That's usually when all the celebrities are there. We did miss Michael Ironside.
Aww.
He was there Friday only, which kind of threw me for a loop.
We did also miss the voice of Supergirl.
We saw her, but we didn't get a chance to interact and see her panel because her panel was at a weird
We didn't see her.
We did. You just didn't realize it. She was up there at one point.
Yeah, we listened to her briefly. Yeah, but it was like a weird in between zone. So,
because this is our first time. We're trying to navigate, and we've made notes for next year.
Yeah, but we got to see the Metropolis Superman.
Yep, Josh.
Which was awesome.
Josh Bolding House, which
Big shout
was
out.
awesome. We got our picture with him at the statue.
Shout out.
The official Metropolis Superman. Selah got to meet the Ninja Turtles that were there dressed up in their Metropolis gear. She got her picture with Mikey. Yeah, I did. But Tyler,
great.
Tyler here got to do something that he would have loved to do the full time, but then would have felt bad doing.
Yep, because I had to reel you in at one point in time, but top place.
Tyler did the Superman Jeopardy, where they had their panel at the top who were like last year's winners, or I don't know who they were as far as how they got picked. Then they had the crowd, and they would ask the crowd questions. And of course, being smart, I stood in the back. I'm not a short person. So first of all, standing helps me stand out. Okay? And let's just say I started slaying some questions to the point where Junia's like, calm down.
I had to because otherwise the whole thing would have been yours.
And I was like, I can't, oh man. Like, and if I would have been by myself, I wouldn't have cared as much because I'm like, whatever. But I kind of made my family look bad. Like, look at that guy. He's just.
I mean, honestly, if you really wanted to get into it, I would have. I would have been totally fine with it. But at the same time, I'm like looking around and. There were like kids and stuff that were there and who wanted to participate too.
We won a bag, we won some cups, I won a t-shirt.
Oh, you won, a handful of things, sir.
So then I was like, okay, let's go get in line and meet Superman.
We were there for like 10 minutes and you're like, okay, I've won enough.
I was like, okay. So we went over there and got in line. And we're in line and I'm still listening, like whispering the answers to Junia. Like, but the problem was the guy would start out the question like, in what episode of Smallville did Lex Luthor do this? And I'm like, what? What's he saying? I can't hear. Like, made me feel old. And then after we met Superman, we walked over to Hardee's because there's like one right there in downtown. And I love fountain cherry Coke, and Hardee's is one place that has fountain cherry Coke.
It was like all of the old people in Metropolis decided that they were going to be at Hardee's at the same time, which was slightly adorable. But
it was just nice to sit down and have some air conditioning because the weather was like this. Cloudy, some rain. Hot!
But like humid hot.
Yes. Then cloudy, some rain. And then at one point it did rain profusely.
pouring.
one section of.
Oh my god.
We had the guys.
We were in the bakery.
Yeah, we stood in the bakery. We got Superman cookies.
Sissy's Cafe Bakery.
While we watched this guy dressed in an awesome '89 Batman costume just walk in the rain, flapping his wings.
He looked so good. Yeah.
We did that, and that was exciting. You know, when you just decided, hey, we'll just hang out here and snack because the rain was so bad. Like, it was intense.
We bought lunch for us to eat at our Airbnb.
Yeah, we had,
But the freaking rain took forever that we literally had to eat lunch at that place that Mom and Dad.
yeah, we bought groceries for breakfast and lunch at our Airbnb instead of eating out. The first night we ate at a taco Mexican place that was
awesome. El Toro Loco.
Yeah, I'll say, what is it? It was El Toro, yeah.
El Toro Loco, which is awesome sauce because they support apparently the what was it called?
It's an immigrant program.
It was an immigrant program. Yep. So like they are contributors and supporters of that, and I thought that was amazing. So
I just was Spider-Man, and I was in the cafe while Selah was turning into Gwen instead of Ghost Spider, and
oh my god!
This other Spider-Man walked in, and we did the meme.
Yeah, the pointing meme.
That was funny.
Yeah.
So I got to meet Zach Benz, who's been on the show a couple times, the editor of the Daily Planet online resource.
Stand-up gentleman.
He was there, so that was really nice to get to meet him in person.
Perry White.
Yeah, the living legend of Perry White. So Zach was there. And after getting to chat with him, he had drove 10 hours with his cousin. They were going to be there for a few and then head back. So we talked a little bit, and then I was like, all right, man, I want to take up your time and let him go do his thing while he was there. And then after that, we went to the kids played bingo.
Teen Titans bingo.
Which is kind of what
it wasn't Teen Titans bingo, it was just superhero bingo.
They
the kids won a few times.
They called Wonder Woman Superwoman. It's
straight
how
up.
Dumb they were.
I won like 3 times.
I was doing.
And then I got to meet a friend of mine, Anthony Baker, who I've talked to online, I've been friends with for years, and we've chatted back and forth, and I've been trying to come, and it was just neat meeting him. It was like, we met for the first time in person, but like we just clicked as if we'd known each other for a long time.
It was pretty rad.
Him and I went over to the Artist Alley because I wanted to meet Ed Gross in person. Ed I had interviewed a couple years ago for his book, Voices from Krypton, which is an oral history of Superman, which is a great read. I highly recommend it. It's on sale right now on Amazon. He had it. He was selling it there. I bought 2 of his other books. One is all about Lois and Clark, and one was a in-depth interview on Birthright with Mark Waid. And I read the Mark Waid one on the drive home.
Can I talk about Artist Alley for a split second? That place was so hard to walk through. Yes. And part of the reason why it was so hard to walk through was because everybody that was there was so talented. And I wanted to buy things from absolutely every single booth. And I just was blown away by the people that were present. I know that one of our favorite artists was that guy who had the 3D art. What was his name? Stephen Walden. Yeah, that man, so flipping talented. And he was in the middle of doing this beautiful panoramic, like, Superman piece.
Big shout out.
And it was just gorgeous. He had done Supergirl on Saturday. DC's superhero, Supergirl.
The 3D thing, like they had 3D glasses that you could put on and see how it just
popped out.
It was amazing.
Dad, tell them about the panel of the story of Ed when we went Saturday.
We're getting there, baby girl.
Yeah, we're getting
there. Well, you're not doing it in order because that was Sunday when we did the Artist Alley.
Well, but Daddy went to the Artist Alley first.
So I went there first, and I wanted to bring the family back. And the family, we went Sunday before we left. It's the last thing we did before we left on Sunday.
So we'll get back to it in a minute.
But I wanted them to see, because, Selah being the little artist that she is, I thought it was important that she got to see other artists. But Junia and I always like to spend our money on local things. And that one was, like, small, but it was more, like, intimate.
Yeah, I
Compared
really
to like when you're at the big cons where you can kind of like just walk past people and not pretend like you saw them because
exactly.
you feel bad because you want to spend money, but like I think for the most part the art is fairly priced.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
There's a couple of people that had stuff I was like, no, but for the most part I don't really have any beef with how much they were charging for their art. Solomon got a cool bookmark.
Free Godzilla.
A sticker.
Yeah, he got it from. Oh my goodness.
They're on some in the back.
Do you have any of the
cards? Yeah, I have them all right here.
Here, can I see them? Thank you.
Someone was very polite asking the artists if you could take pictures of their art because some artists are really bad about.
No
well,
one
not
said-
bad, but they just don't want people taking pictures of their art, which I completely understand.
No one was doing it, like. But like, yeah, yeah, we got Solomon a bookmark, and then.
But after the bingo, Solomon and Selah got their picture taken with the Noel Neal statue. We talked a little bit about her being the first Lois Lane, how important that was, and you know how she was not only the Kirk Allen Lois Lane, she then later become the Lois Lane for George Reeves as well. And they got their picture in front of the planet. And then we went to the Q&A for Dean Cain. We just got there as he was leaving the statue. And we got to, and Solomon and I had recently watched the pilot for Lois and Clark with our good friend Nate McKenzie.
Go check that out, please.
It's free on our Patreon. It's a commentary. Because I wanted Solomon to remember who the Superman was that we would get to meet. And Dean was awesome to listen to. He's always enjoyable to listen to. And, you know, Lois and Clark was the Superman of my childhood because it came out in '93 when I was at the perfect age to enjoy it as far as having a Superman. Did you find that artist, Drew?
Yeah, the bookmark artist. We got this really cool black and white bookmark that is Spider-Man and Captain America from Sean Delaney. Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's other people I want to mention here, so when we get back to Sunday, I'll talk about it, but yeah.
So during the Q&A, after the moderator asked questions, he turned it to the crowd, and without being prompted, both of my children threw their hands up and wanted to ask Dean Cain questions.
And we got picked.
And they got picked. And there is a video short on YouTube and on TikTok. Go check that out to hear the kids actually talk and interact with Dean Cain, but it was really awesome, and I'm proud of both of them.
Yeah, they both were not afraid to talk to him, which was really cool.
So Selah shaking her head like, why would I be afraid? I'm Selah.
Oh, and Dean Cain, biggest flippin' flirt I have ever heard as far as like being interviewed in a Q&A session. He was flirting with all the ladies. It was hilarious.
Not me, though.
Now,
well,
taking one quick step back, this weekend it was kind of a late birthday present and it was a Father's Day present to me from the family for this trip. When I got to talk to Ed and introduce myself in person, he mentioned that he will be raffling off a copy of his massive 5-inch thick 2 feet by 2 feet
thick
book, which is the complete history of Superman. And I told him, I said, you know, I wanted to buy the book. It's just, you know, it's $100 and some. I can't do it right now. And I was looking to just buy the digital copy, you know. And he was like, well, we're going to do a raffle later. And he gave me a raffle ticket. And I was like, awesome. And me and Anthony were joking, like, he's like, well, if you win it, I'm going to wrestle you. Because there was a wrestling ring there. And we were joking about it. And I told Junia, like, I got to get you back to Artist Alley to get a ticket from Ed. And
well, we didn't get time to.
we did not get to. So we went to the tent. And we're sitting there. And Morgan, the owner of the museum, she's going to moderate with Ed, do a panel and talk. And they pass out more tickets beforehand. And we all have one. So we technically have 5 tickets, right?
Yeah, because Dad had 2, and Mom had 1, so I had 1, and I had 1.
And then they get through. Ed does an awesome panel talking about writing, his experiences. There are some questions for people. They ask him who his least favorite Superman is.
I did.
Solomon did. And Ed, you know, has a great response with, at first he was like, Superboy, can I pick that? And then he said David Wilson. Because he's like, he just, not anything against him, but what they did with it really wasn't the character. I understand the TV version has its downs. If they'd done more of a true adaptation straight of the musical, as far as like the songs and Superman and stuff, I think it would have been better. Oh, there's our crypto barking. But anyways, so Morgan decides she's going to pull the kids up on stage to pull the raffle tickets. And Selah, I'll let you go from here.
You do it.
So what happens, Selah, when you go up on stage?
You do it. I want you to say it.
So there were different prizes that you could have gotten for, the raffle and whatnot. And the kids were able to, pull the tickets out of the little Superman bag that Morgan had on her lap. And they were, calling out the numbers.
Because no other kids wanted to do it. All the kids are, too embarrassed to do it. I mean, so I'm like, what?
And Morgan's like, I'll just take both of you. she was really sweet. But anyway, so they got to stand on stage and do that. But the very first thing that Ed Gross raffled off was the
big fat History Superman book.
That is official by DC. Yes, the one that is over $100. So there's this big box sitting in the middle between Morgan and Ed off the stage.
It had a Superman symbol.
It had the Superman symbol on it. Yep, 100%.
It was so big.
And Selah goes to draw from the bag. And what number does she draw but...
One of the tickets that I'm holding.
Exactly.
And everyone's looks at me and I'm like, I swear to God, it's not rigged. I'm like, on my honor. And I'm super excited because I wanted it. And Selah just kind of gave me a look like, I got you, Dad.
Well, Selah has done this before.
With money.
With money and different things where she'll be like, I want you guys to get this. I want you to have this. And then it magically appears later. So
Wait, where it pull it?
Selah,
I'm going to Jesus. Thank you.
Is that what it is?
I know.
Okay, so next ask for $1 million. But she won her daddy the book. Complete serendipitous, beautiful moment.
And Megan thought, I was suspicious.
Morgan.
I literally didn't even look.
Yeah.
No, you did it. That's what was crazy because I looked at her and I was like, are you serious? I look at, before I even say anything, I look at Junia look, it's us. And she's like, oh, it is. And I'm like, it's us. And they're like, what? And I'm just like, yeah, I swear to God. I swear.
He didn't get any other books.
Pretty sure Anthony was pretty sore after that.
Yeah, he was like, I'll give you $100 cash right now. Tempting, but but after that, I looked at Junia if we want anything else, I'm not taking it. I was like, we still have tickets in our hand, I don't want anything else.
But after that, we were also like, let's take this back to the Airbnb so nothing happens. Somebody deciding that they want it.
And the video of that Ed Gross section right there is now up on our YouTube. You can see the kids.
Yeah, they kept pulling tickets for other people and stuff, and it was really cool.
I went, Solomon, it was just back and forth.
You guys were funny, and it was a pretty rad experience.
Oh, yeah, and
Morgan.
You can ask me at the end, who's your dad? Tyler Patrick. What's his YouTube channel? Krypton Report, because that was one of my Krypton
Selah
Report
was
shirts.
wearing her Krypton Report shirt. Junia was rocking her Krypton Report shirt. I had my hat on just to kind of stand out, but also if I saw anybody. And I got to meet a guy named Logan, who is a fan of the podcast as well as some of our friends' podcasts, Case Aiken and Anthony Desiato.
Logan and his wife have a podcast too.
Yes, they do. It's called the Single Bound Podcast.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I'm hoping he messaged me because I said we got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But that was a highlight, a big highlight, because Selah was like, Happy Father's Day, Dad. I mean, what more can you ask for? Your daughter wins you $100 and some book. One that's technically $170, but is on sale for $100. But
pretty flippin' rad.
so that was part of the big highlight of Saturday.
Yeah, it was.
Now, after that, it was hot. We kind of mulled around a little bit. We looked at little different shops there on the strip. I went back to the Superstore, bought my Max Fleischer Superman figure from McFarlane because I had pre-ordered it from GameStop and they screwed me over and never ordered it.
GameStop.
Because our GameStop closed. Well, we lived kind of between two of them. But anyways, So it was hot. We went back to our Airbnb, chilled out for a little bit, cleaned up, ate some food, and then returned to the Strip to see a few events. But one of the highlight events was you guys wanted to see the Superdog show.
Oh, it was awesome.
You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Okay.
So, let me speak.
The Superdog show
Was amazing. There was this dog that named Fred, and he had a Scooby-Doo bandana around him, and there was this dog that was full white, and his name was Crypto, and he had a super cape. It was dope.
and the dog contest was there was different colors dogs who win the award. There was this dog who dressed up as Wolverine who won
His name was Rocco.
Rocco. Yeah, his name was Rocco. But what did he win?
Like there was like 11
the
awards, and they all won boxes of the Crypto Milkbone Doggy
Everybody
Biscuits.
won
Well,
boxes.
you should do that for your dogs.
Yeah.
Everybody who participated got a box, and then the 11 awards got a pup cup.
Yeah, pup cup from Starbucks and like a certificate.
No, 11 pup cups from Starbucks.
And the winner was Crypto.
Like overall best dog.
Yeah, well, he was awesome. And there was another doggy that was like a brown Australian Shepherd that was really pretty.
And was he the one that was Superman's dog?
Clark Kent.
Superman's dog.
You talking about Tiny?
No.
Not Tiny.
Mm-mm.
Chewy.
Chewy was cute.
I just thought it was funny. The dog in front of him was Tiny, and then Chewy came up there, and Chewy was tinier than Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So my brain kept wanting to flip it. But it was cute. We had some hesitant dogs up there, but it was a great year for it because, you know, with Crypto coming in the forefront of the movie, kind of like we have a version of headbands that me and the kids made ourselves as DC headbands, and we were playing the other night. And Selah was part of the Superfamily. She's an animal. She couldn't figure it out. Then all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, my Crypto," with the most like
No,
what the heck
no.
face.
I'm like, there's no one that's an animal. There's no one that's an animal. Crypto.
So that was good. But then, before we get to the highlight of Saturday night, we'll say Sunday, we didn't stay all day. We missed out on the adult costume cosplay contest and the heroes and villains cosplay parades. Those would have been cool to have seen. But it was just really hot. We had to drive back.
So we went to Artist Alley.
So in the morning we went to Artist Alley. And Junia, you had a few more things you wanted to say about Artist Alley.
No, I mentioned before that it was like so hard for us to, I mean for me at least, to walk through there and be like, I wanted to buy everybody's stuff. There was a local author from Metropolis there who, you know, he had books that he had actually like, he had written, they weren't comic books, but they were books. I cannot remember that gentleman's name. If you find it, will you please let us know? But like, I wanted to buy one of his books so bad. Him and his wife were like sitting there, and his wife was like talking him up, and it was lovely to see.
Was it the guy in the top hat?
No,
No.
It was the guy who I got the bookmark from. I didn't get to talk to him because I was talking about with someone else, and it was difficult because there are so many good pieces of art, and we need to really make sure that we're saving our money for it because I like to spend on that. That's like part of why, you know, I bought Ed's book. He gave me a deal on the Mark Waid book because I had previously bought the Lois and Clark book, just because I do enjoy reading them, but supporting him. And then I did buy that one comic book. It's funny because like for a single issue of an independent comic, paying $5 doesn't bother me.
Right.
But like going to the comic book store and a regular like issue is $5, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But like for an independent, like $5 for a book, sure.
Well, you know exactly where the money is going and who you're supporting and like how it impacts the person that's in front of you too, you know? And Atomic Monster, I think, was one of the artists that was there, and Solomon and Selah got some really cool, they had like a spinning wheel thing, so they got to spin the wheel, and they got, Solomon got a free sticker.
And it was a Godzilla.
And it was a baby Godzilla, and then Selah got a 5x7, which she gifted her father because it was what?
The Wolfman.
The Wolfman.
It's like, I love my Superman and DC Comics, but I also love my Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience.
Yeah.
And definitely, if you visit, check out Artist Alley, because it seems like some of the same people come back each year. We definitely will be next year. But now, to the highlight of Saturday. So after the pup show ended, it was about sunset. We had to walk past our Airbnb down to the parking lot of the casino, because they were doing what, guys?
Drone show. Superman drone show.
This was neat because it reminds me of like
was
fireworks,
lights.
lights, but like they had music playing, and you could see when we first got the drones without their lights on going up. But man, was it something special!
It was really
the,
rad.
The bow tie, the bow tie and the shirt.
That was probably the best one.
Right? You could see the drones. That's like was complaining about it. But when Dad saw his hands, he moved the shirt. Clark Kent did, and it moved into Superman's shirt.
I mean, it started off. We heard the Superman theme song, and they did like a 3-dimensional, super shield, and they turn it.
Which might have been one of the coolest effects of that whole show, was being able to make things 3-dimensional, and being able to make it come alive.
So that was awesome, because I'm sitting there watching it, but I'm holding my camera right above me so that I can film it, but we're watching it, and the worst part is like the camera gets everything, but the camera reflects off the lights of the parking lot.
Which I wish we had.
I wish they would have turned them off just right there. Because it was only a 15-minute show.
13.
13
minutes.
But I think there was like, they made the Lex statue, they made, not statue, the super suit, they made a Daily Planet written out. They made Superman flying.
It said truth, justice, and American way.
No. It said truth, justice, better tomorrow.
Better tomorrow. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, I'm not better tomorrow.
But my favorite, I think, is like what Selah's saying, where it was the tie and shirt with the glasses, and then the shirt moved open for the symbol to pop out through.
It was dope. It was really cool.
We do have the video with audio. You can check out on our YouTube.
It was so cool.
But it was just something very fascinating that I had never seen. Like, it reminds me of like fireworks, but better.
You guys.
And it was a great way to kind of wrap up Saturday night. It ended a few minutes before 9, and the restaurant across from us closed at 9, and I had to order takeout for Junia and I. So I had to like run.
It was
back
raining. It was raining.
To get in there before they closed. And it was raining off and on the entire time.
And before Dad ran over there, we were walking back. Solomon and Dad stayed behind. Me and Mom kept walking. And Dad and Solomon found $19 laying on the ground. And we used that money to play art. We used that money so we can go to the arcade and play some video games.
The sad part about that was that there was nobody around.
Yeah, but let's make sure we add that. Like, Solomon found it, and we stopped, and we looked around. We checked. There was no car parked by it. We looked around. We were kind of looking for somebody. Like, the crowd had dispersed, and we kind of waited a beat. We were looking. Nobody came back. Nothing was being sounded. We waited, and then I told Solomon, I'm like, look, you could just keep it. Because there's really no one else around. There's no one coming back.
Me and Mom just kept walking.
So we just took that money and decided
Use it for arcade.
to just use it for what we had planned on doing that night, was going and playing some arcade games.
There was a 3D arcade game.
There was.
Virtuality arcade game.
And that was great. I think all in all, we drove home. We took our time driving home. We found some cool stuff along the road to kind of stop, enjoy. But we really had a good time at Superman Celebration. It was fun, friendly, laid back, and I definitely want to go back next year and try to participate in a few more of the events. Maybe wake up early and just be there all day slaying some trivia.
Oh my God!
I'll come back with a whole new Superman collection of price. They'll have to ask me to leave.
Probably.
You're gonna go. You're gonna go with whole what?
Honestly, you should be one of the ones that were up there on the actual Jeopardy panel of people. You know,
I bet if I stayed, they'd be like, okay, this guy's coming back next year as our Jeopardy champion. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, because you were flipping on it, dude.
Like, no one else had a turn, just dad.
And I even waited and hesitated a couple times. They called me, like making sure that they were calling on me and not someone else because I didn't want to just jump the gun. I try to be respectful. But that was it, man. That was our trip.
It was amazing.
Good times. And
Gonna go back
it's a
next
great
year.
way for 10 years of Krypton Report. And thank you, everybody. And remember,
Look up!
And subscribe that way.